another and the last of our ESL Pro League live Pro League analysis. As you guys know it will change into a completely different season when the next season shows up. It won't be season 12, it'll be whatever they decide to call it as per the new changes, the new companies involved, the new structure, the new layout. I know we're all excited for it, and at least I'll give you guys a little bit of a rundown of what it was and how it did end up for today's analysis, which is TSM versus Space Station Gaming on Themepark. I've done another Themepark analysis before the first ever competitive match, which was an EU matchup between BDS and Chaos. But alas, now we are going across the continent to NA to have a little look at how the North Americans set up on Themepark compared to the Europeans. So I'm super excited to go through this one. This will be my last ever Pro League analysis under the ESL banner that you guys can see there. Once it goes into the next season, things will change up quite considerably. Whether or not I'm still able to do analysis on the YouTube will also change. I won't tell you why. You guys will figure that out into the future, but let's get our heads stuck into this one. Crack open a nice bottle of water, and then we are good to go. If you are watching on this on YouTube at a later date, just know that this currently is being streamed live on my Twitch. If you do want to check that out in future episodes, should they occur, you can go to twitch.tv/JessGoat. Or if you're watching it live right now, please know that I will not be able to engage with chat in any way, as this does go and get exported onto YouTube straight after this. So if you make any good points, I may add it to my analysis. I may answer those questions if it is pertinent to my analysis, but otherwise we're going to get stuck straight into it. And for the most part, chat will just be sort of a nice little thing I get to read on the side. So yeah, thank you guys for being here. And if you are on the live stream, we will we'll go into some ranked later on after this analysis as well. I'll stop the stream. I'll come back a little bit after, and yeah, we'll get back to the normal, the normal swing of things. Now, I'll just make sure my Epic Pen is up. It is. You're wondering what software I use to draw my screen. I use Epic Pen. It's a great little piece of software, and it allows me to draw beautiful little lines and everything like that, like this, to the beautiful Intero. No, and I think Michael should have one too, but his would be longer and something like that. So I use Epic Pen for my analysis. All right, let's get stuck into it. I always give a disclaimer, all of my analysis is always done as brutally honestly as I can be. I might add a little bit of dramatic effect throughout the analysis just to give you guys a little bit of entertainment value to my analysis. I may, be a tad brutal, but just know that I am not criticizing any singular player, team, anything like that. I will point out what I see. I will point out what's right or wrong with it, and I'll point out what I like or do not like. All of my analysis is my opinion. It's my professional analysis of the games. Take it as you see fit. When you view it in this spectated mode, you don't get the full story, you don't get everything, but I try and be as fair as I possibly can. You will not hear any of the casting or the sounds unless it's relevant to what we need to work out during the analysis. I mute it. That's not to say that these two, kings of casting don't have great insight and the casting wasn't great. It's just that it's not necessary for our analysis. So we'll start off with the map veto. And what I like was that this was kind of sort of meant to be the final, you know what I mean, between TSM and SSG. Or a lot of people said it should have been. Others said DZ and whatever. And I guess on the standings, you can look at it however you want to. But yeah, not surprised to see TSM get rid of Clubhouse. That should always be a first or second ban without a doubt. And then going to Themepark, I wasn't surprised at that. I think the casters were a little bit surprised, but you can't be surprised when you go to a new map. You really can't. Teams will prepare for this in a multitude of different ways. It's like when Cafe came out, I think the entire play was just Cafe. So teams want to try it. Teams want to prove that they're the best at it, that they're setting the meta essentially for how you should play it. And this is why I really like Themepark. It's not my favorite map. A lot of people ask my opinion on it. I find it to be extraordinarily stale because you have to do the same things every time to take a lot of these sites. You can switch it up ever so slightly, but there's always really only ever one or two methods of gaining access to a site as an attacker, and yeah, I find it stale, I find it repetitive, monotonous, etc. All right, so we'll skip through this. You know, these two teams going up against each other is probably one of the fairest community votes that we've ever seen. Most of the time it's like 60-40, 80-20, even less than that sometimes. And this is like one of the most fairest ones that I've seen in a long time. And people say it's really just a popularity vote, but you know. All right, let's head into this beautiful new map. Big shout out to Coconut Bra, who actually just released a video very recently on a few tips and tricks inside this map, which I really enjoyed watching. So go check that out. Bans on this map are particularly important to analyze. Why? Because they can change the staleness of how an attacking side has to push ever so slightly. So for example, having both the Thatcher and the Maverick banned means you must have flushes and grenades for the most primary side being Armory. There is no other way to take it. You could also take vertically and then take yellow stairs, etc. That's really the only deviation if you're not going to take barrels and maintenance, for example. That's why those bans have occurred. I think both teams being very confident on the Thatcher Maverick ban, I think that would have come out anyway. And then Mirror Echo, easy as you like it. I would say, and I want to be careful how I think about this. Mirror is really only viable on maybe two of the sites. Maybe. You could move her around a little bit or whatnot. She's actually mostly just a time waster. Down on Armory and let's say more so on Throne side, with a Maverick and a Thatcher ban, if you had a mirror in play, there'd be no way to open that mirror without being able to grenade over the top. And you could ADS trick, you could Wamai trick, you could 100,000 different things, and that mirror would very, very likely still stay up. So a mirror is strong on the sites where it's viable and then very weak on every other site. So this is why you got to get rid of these kind of operators. And then having an Echo in such I'm going to call it a busy map. Themepark's a very busy map. Okay, there's a lot going on the roofs. And I don't think, unless you go on a custom game and you haven't even checked it out, there's a lot of architecture on a lot of the roofs, on a lot of the rooms inside Themepark, and that's very alternate to other maps. Like let's say Cafe, for example, the roof is all timber for the most part. So if you were to scout across the roof, with your holo or ACOG or whatever you're running, you could after a little while spot where the yokai drone is. But there's so many different architectural pieces throughout Themepark, it's tricky. And this is why Valkyrie cams can be quite good and everything. And if you didn't run an IQ, you'd be pretty hard struck to be able to find what you needed to in the amount of time that the rounds allow for. So these bans are pretty important. I would argue that this would favor the defensive side first, mostly because if these two are banned, Armory is already a hard site to push. Now you're left down to flashes, grenades, verticality, get yellow stairs, etc. That's already hard enough as it is. You would assume it favors the defenders, at least initially, for the first two sites being bunks and Armory. So you should guarantee at least 2 rounds to the defenders straight up. Now, I'm really interested in seeing TSM setup. Armory Throne Room, the initial site, 0% surprised. Not surprised whatsoever. It is the primary bomb site. Anyone who says it is not must have a superior setup in other sites. It would just be impossible otherwise. The Clash 6-pick, I made a post the other day about 6-pick being a really, really interesting mechanic and part of competitive play. Why? Because there's no way SSG can feel confident they're going Armory and Throne Room without a Jaeger. You could not go Armory and Throne Room without a Jaeger and or Wamai. It would be impossible to hold any of those walls. Instantly, Rampy could go in there, grenade over the top once, boom, walls open. Then he could rotate around to barrels, do the exact same. He could do that on yellow stairs if you want. It really wouldn't matter. You have 0% chance without a Jaeger and or Wamai. I am flat out making that professional statement. Anyone who goes against me clearly does not understand the layout and the meta that is set around Armory very clearly. So that 6-pick from Clash to Jaeger, I wish Geo had picked another more telling operator, like maybe if he had gone Castle or something like that, he could have baited that they were going bunks first or something. I don't know. But you know, that probably doesn't. Oh no. That doesn't change much. Well, yes, it does, because Ash had the flashes, which doesn't really change all that much, because Fultz, if he is 6-picking because of the Clash, then he still has concussion impacts to cook ADSs, right? So he still has the utility, and in fact, he has more now to be able to cook. So this actually turned out better for him. But that might be why he switched, because, oh, guys, they might have a clash, I need concussions to counter it because we've got nothing else. I love that. I like that. Yet another case of 6-pick being a little bit of a mind game. This is what I love to see. And just, you know, that extra tiny little detail to competitive play that can alter entire rounds. Now, as an attacker, I'm going to set this very quickly. They could not have 6-picked to both the Jaeger and a Wamai. That's, as a defender, I find that dangerous, that they don't have both. So because Bolo's going Vigil, I assume they're going to be running a roam setup. On Armory, you can get away with not, because of these bans, because of the Maverick and Thatcher ban, you can turtle extraordinarily safely, except for the yellow stair push. So unless they're doing a drug hold or a sort of, let's say, cafe-sided hold to be able to stop them from doing a yellow push, then you could possibly have a Wamai, you could have a couple of other operators situated, you know, around the Jaeger to stop them opening the wall, because they've only got 2 exothermics. So there's multiple ways. With those 2 bans, your best push is yellow stairs, because you can get verticality and you can feel very confident. Rampy's on the box, so I assume that's going to be their play. But again, by not flashing either the Jaeger or Wamai, SSG can be confident that bringing enough pieces of utility, flashes, etc. You know, Canadian's got the flashes, so does Thinking Nade. You've got the concussion impacts from Fultz. You can get rid of those ADSs extraordinarily quickly. It would barely take any of your time. The only thing you'd have to worry about is C4s over the top. That's it. I'm interested to see, I really, really am interested to see where they shift their roam. I'm going to assume drug. That can be a real strong corner piece, and also upstairs in cafe and bunks if you do the right rotates. ADSs can go pretty much wherever you want, because there's no Thatcher to get rid of it. So you can put them as close to the freaking wall as you wanted. And in fact, you do want them close to the wall in case that grenade hits the top and bounces at an awkward angle and the ADS just misses it. I've had that happen before, and it can be extraordinarily frustrating. The beautiful Pojamin. Just setting up for his team. I believe he opened the barrels hatch as well for his team. Yeah, so wait, go back 5 seconds. Yeah, okay, so Geo wants to, okay, that's what he was opening. So you don't really see it because it kind of cuts it off, but he makes a little hole here because I think the point is to be able to, like I said, hold drug and then also hold above in cafe sort of bunks area, and that tiny little hole there will give him a great line of sight over to where it's believed the push might happen, which is these sort of yellow stairs opening this wall take plank kind of scenario. That generally is sort of what we're expecting the meta to be now on this kind of site. Now, a lot of people sort of question why, and you can see it here, reverse reinforcements. It doesn't change anything in Throne. Why? Because the top of the reinforcement, and I'll try and give you a little visual here, the top of the reinforcement cuts very low, and there's quite a lot of that is soft. So reverse reinforcing and stuff like that, like you would do in Clubhouse, for example, bottom floor triple wall of church, wouldn't really be the same effect here. It doesn't do anything. So if you're wondering why he did that, it's just because he knew he had to go open up the barrels hatch, and at the same time he figured he'd just reinforce the walls. Okay, so Bowler is in bunks. And I'm just looking for rotates. That's why there's a little bit of silence here. I believe there's one here, allowing for a rotate through. This is important, this rotate. I do wonder why there's no rotate here. Maybe even a rotate here would have been good. Maybe he's keeping one in pocket. Let me have a look. Yep. To provide that later on, which is a smart move. The reason you'd need to be able to move through initiation is because this is where all the verticality down onto Armory would happen. So you need the opportunity to be able to challenge from multiple angles, and this provides that. He could also do a rail hop here, walk across here, and impact here to also give another line of sight. There's multiple options. But it's very hard when you're a solo player to do all those types of things without being cut off very quickly. This would be really interesting to see how SSG try and push this. This hatch, ladies and gentlemen, and I want all my analysis pieces, all my YouTube videos to be inclusive for both high-level competitive people and for people who are just getting involved in competition. And this hatch must be opened. I don't care if you're pushing only maintenance or only barrels or only whatever. If you can get someone upstairs like a Jackal or a Buck or a Sledge or whoever to open this, it must be opened. Why? We talk about it every stream, perceived pressure. If that hatch is open, ain't nobody gonna freely run underneath it. No one's gonna run there. Open it no matter what. Just open it. Even if you never use it, you never drop it. I don't care. Please open it. You will be able to stop an entire rotate 90% of the time just based out of one hatch being opened. And as someone poignantly said in chat, as the great Shia LaBeouf said, just do it. All right. Oh, look. And in fact, Rapey, the only reason he went up there was to do it. That's it. It's perceived pressure. And when I talk about perceived pressure, it's about giving them the idea that you're there when you actually aren't. It's great. It's why we open windows and doors sometimes. It's perfect. Beautiful little drone comes in. Make sure the gong and all of maintenance is clear. I'm wondering if this is going to be a maintenance push, ladies and gentlemen. This is exciting. I mean, we've seen BDS try and half fail and stuff like that, but I want to see a really successful take of it. Boom, more perceived pressure. Get those hatches open. Let's get it done. Love to see this systematic push here from SSG. Claymores come out. People ask me, how do you hold the flank from like Dragon Stairs? It can be so hard. You know, you can't really place an air jab anywhere that can't be shot. You can't really claymore it properly because the claymore can get shot. You know, gridlocks. Yeah, okay, they're the kind of only counter. You need a drone. You need a flank watcher. I'm telling you now, you need a flank watcher. It's extraordinarily hard to hold that flank depending where you're pushing. Now, I'm uncertain as to where they're hoping to push. Okay, Canadians in maintenance. Clearly they want this maintenance wall open because it's almost half of the round now and they haven't even started cooking ADSs. Dangerous work here, ladies and gentlemen. Dangerous work. It shouldn't have taken them this long when all you've got, I believe, now I need to count this one. I don't know where the others are. Let's say that there is Merc and Bolo off-site. So there's 2 off-site. They're over on bunk side or whatnot. The rest are on site. It's a predominant turtle. So why did it take them so long to get into maintenance to cook the ADSs? That should be step number 1. And we've already surpassed half the round. They haven't engaged any roamers. They've done not much. And yes, you need to hold this door because you don't want anyone to come out and get Canadian, who's an extraordinarily important operator. Out of all the maps and all the sides, if a Thermite or any hard breacher dies and no walls open, you have probably a 90% chance of losing. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. A lot of time being, I can't, again, spectator view, I can't see what the other team members are doing. Are they droning? Are they trying to collect intel? Are they making sure no one's rotating? I don't know. But they're taking a heck of a long time to do whatever it is that they're doing. Okay, finally. Over half the round surpasses and they've got the buck over there ready to grenade over the top. Canadian will have cooked the ADS, surely. He's taken a lick of damage, either trying to place the exothermic or maybe a C4 went sailing past and, gave him a nick of damage. Oh, I love that Maestro cam. Oh, yeah. Taking that. Oh. That's beautiful. That's gorgeous. Look at that. These 2 teams are just... TSM became one of my favorite teams ever since 6th Invitational. And that was mostly for communications reason. You know, obviously during the group stages, which were closed, I was blessed and honored enough to be able to sit there in front of all the teams, you know, as part of it being an analyst and listen and watch them play live, 1 meter in front of me. So they became one of my favorite teams. And just look at this line of sight that this gives you. It's just good. It's brilliant. I'm going to have to jump into custom and have a little look at that myself. But if you want to steal that for you and your team, please do it. Is someone down? Is that from a grenade? Huh. Oh, how did they not know a grenade would come over? Surely TSM were aware that that is literally the only way in for SSG. That's a crazy mistake. All right, we got to go back. All right, all we have here is outlines, ladies and gentlemen. So also thank you to Frosty J, who just popped a heck of a lot of their viewers in here. Welcome. We're doing a live analysis. So, sit down, seatbelts on, strap yourself in. We're trying to work out how, in all possibility, both the Maestro and the bandit died to a grenade, how they couldn't have known once the ADS was cooked that that's exactly what would follow. Of course that's what would follow. So we're just gonna... Was he throwing a C4? I believe he's throwing a C4. I believe that's what gets him killed. The bandit goes to throw a C4. Yeah, that's what that... Oh, no, he pulls his gun out again. He goes to place down a bandit. No. Okay, if your ADS is cooked, do not bandit trick. Give up. Give up the wall. Why? Because with only 1 wall open, that doesn't do much for the attackers. They've wasted over half the round attempting to get 1 wall. They also only have 1 set of grenades, and they've used both on 1 wall. Now, the only saving grace for them will be Bosco with the smokes to block off lines of sight from Armory. But if everyone went over to Armory and held lines of sight, no one could run in because there's only 1 entry. So opening one wall actually doesn't do a lot for the attackers. They would need both walls open because you can lay behind the other side of throne extraordinarily safely, and when there's no other nades left, how are you going to move them? How are you going to get rid of them? How is anyone even going to get into plant? They've got a Maestro cam over there as well, which only Fultz can get rid of now. So if you're a bandit tricker and your AD says, just get off. Just run away. Just hope that your other bandits on the other wall stay in place, and then you only have to fight one entry. That's it. So huge mistake from Achieve there. I think he thought he could get it, but his teammate was already down. You got to take the high road here and back on up, pick him up, move to the other side of the site. Canadian will now get this for free. And Geo will take out Bosco, which was their smokes. Where was he? Okay. Through the dragon door, out behind dragon. Oh, that's a toughie. Was Bosco in the wrong spot? Was he too far up? Yeah. Was Geometrix peeking too aggressively? Also, yeah. Now, again, Bosco dies and he is the only anti-roam denial that there kind of is. You could use drones, etc. There's a few destroyed, but there's quite a few on the pockets of other players. So, and someone in my chat asked, was the ADS cleared in throne? Yes, it was on the maintenance side. Canadian, being a thermite, had 3 flashes, boom, 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 over the top, easy cooked. And with only 1 ADS on the wall, too easy. So they haven't cleared these roamers, being Bolo and Merc. That's real dangerous. That's extraordinarily dangerous. Only thing stopping a flank is Claymore, which is placed on the top. So they're already on the top. They can just shoot that. Pokemon's still down? Oh, Geo must think he can't pick him up. Well, you can't, and I will say this very clearly. I'll try and draw a line, even though it's not clear. Now that this wall's been opened up way in the distance behind the bomb, that gives a full line of sight over. You cannot see anyone crouching behind here. Sometimes you can see the tippy top of the head, but not always. And you can't see anyone proning here. So Pokemon's safe, but Geo knows for a fact that if he runs, he's exposed to like 3 angles. So is it better to let your teammate die out? Yes, kind of, yeah. Maybe not worth risking running to revive when you might die. There was also a question, would it be worth having the Jaeger stay and try an ADS juggle? Yes. I said this in my very first video analyzing Themepark. Yes, 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 yes. If you're only going to bring 1, and when I mean only going to bring 1, either a Wamai or a Jaeger, and you're not going to bring 2, then you better ADS juggle. All you need is to know exactly which side they want to take, and then you can have your Jaeger run from this wall to this wall very quickly and ADS juggle really quickly. Really quickly. It's an art, like bandit tricking, to place it down in the correct timing, but there's no Thatcher. So you're really not battling much. And look at this, so much freedom for the roamers. They've actually put 1. Oh no, Bolo did do the flank. And this is what I mean about this Claymore. What is this Claymore going to do when you didn't even clear the roamers? Like an accessory piece at that point. See? They're running into plant. Okay. This is only because Pokemon is down. This is literally the only reason. Wait, let me count. 1, 2, 3. Actually, no, I take that back. I take that back. What you can't see, and I would love to have the layout. I would love to have the layout to be able to show you guys this, and I can't. Let me try and awkwardly draw this. Here is Armory maintenance walls, right? Where they've opened up. Then there's a sort of the start of the throne bit a little bit further. And then over here is a wall which goes like that. So there's a little bit of a gap where Canadian could sneak into, and you cannot be seen from Armory. But in order to get into that spot, you need to make sure that there's no one behind throne. And the person behind throne is down and, well, almost dead. So they got lucky with that. They got real lucky they could get into that spot. Yes, I like ignoring roamers sometimes when they have no vertical holes. There's nothing but flanks. If you've got a dedicated flank watcher, then, which thinking there was, and he did die, unfortunately. He lost his engagement. Then sure, you can let the roamers go because they're not going to make any impact on you other than, I guess, trying to come back to site. But Pojamin needed to have stayed alive there. The big fault there was TSM not ADS juggling and also continuing to engage the wall once they'd lost the ADS. Okay, good. This is important. You need someone in armory. It's super safe. Why Rampy didn't go above and open anything? The yellow wall's still closed. The barrels wall is still closed. You could have 3 people here with holes, feet holes here, and this wouldn't have happened. Of course, that Maestro cam still being up. I don't know, did Faults use both of his impacts already? I'm not sure where. Wait, Rampy had another... Oh no, it's because he died out. I was like, how did he have another grenade? He used both on... Take it back. Take it back. Now, what Canadian needs to do is not move. Of course, when you get pushed by Merc, you have to engage. So he gets the kill. That's a dead body. Space Station win a round they shouldn't have won. I'm going to say that with complete confidence. You should never win a round where you've opened one wall unless it's the yellow wall. You should never win the round. You have 2 possible strategies. Completely open yellow wall with verticality, block everyone out, get a plant down, you're good to go. Or open up both barrels and maintenance, and I'm going to put a third one where you could open up one side, rely on smokes to block line of sights, make sure you actually destroy Maestro camps, etc. Then maybe. And I do wonder if that was their plan with the Jackal, to block lines of sight with the smoke and stuff. So their strategy wasn't flawed. It's just that because they lost key operators with key piece of utility early, they shouldn't have won that. It's that TSM didn't have the right counter adaptation, or were a little bit too extended. No, that round does go on the Bandit and Pojamin's accidental death there. It does. And I think they would know that. Yeah. So there are 2 default plant spots in, I mean, there's more, but let's say there's 3 in this throne part. Behind the throne, it's, you can't wallbang that, so you can crouch behind there or stand or whatever, and you can plant there. There's also that corner we spoke about here where Canadian planted, and then of course if you were to open barrels instead, where the vase is, you can also plant there. And pretty well get away with a pretty easy plant. Right, let's go on to round 2. Again, still think TSM should have won. Not having your main defender alive, having your bandit gone as well from something they shouldn't have died from. We get to see it again though. This excites me. The IQ over to the Ash. Maybe for Bolo, that might scare him a little bit that he can't use his gadget that much. Actually, yeah, I do want to state, and excuse my ignorance, someone in chat just said, well, if you only get one wall, you kind of even need a Monty. And Monty is a walking wall. So, yes, I agree that you could also use a Monty in place of that. That's a lot of utility you would lose in other operators, of course, but I don't doubt that at all. I expect nothing less of TSM but the same setup. Everything looking pretty well the same. Nothing outlandish. Did he get his drone? Yeah, he did. Okay. Again, like I said, I expect exactly the same. Again, Geo is going to do a drug-sided hold. I liked what he did when he... This is what I like about some roamers, especially really proficient roamers like Geo, is that if you know that you're not being pushed and your side is relatively free for a quite a long period of the time, stop holding it. Stop being useless. Work out in your head a way to adapt to the given situation and be more helpful to your team. No one likes when a roamer is the last alive, unless they rush side. That means you didn't have enough impact. If you're a 1vx and you're a roamer last alive, well then you kind of fucked up. Okay, you either were far too passive or whatever it was. You gotta find the right balance, and that means communication with your anchors and really clear and understandable communication. Pojamin was in a really bad spot and Geo had to alleviate some of that pressure. He did that last round. I love to see that. He knew he wasn't getting drug pressure. Boom. Went in, decided to be the man that filled that gap. Great roamer, great adaptation. I would like to see Bolo respond a little quicker this round. Mind you, first round, so not going to judge. But yeah, would like to see that. Looks like they might... They might be roam clearing this time. Ooh, ooh. Was that bullet holes? That's dirty. Okay, I don't want to get into politics here of the game, but bullet holes I have started using far more often, and I am netting kills I shouldn't be. It almost seems toxic to utilize bullet holes. Even in a pro league setting, you've seen just there, bullet holes in the cash wall. Yikers, buddy. Fultz almost had his life taken. You got a drone. Ooh. Was that the rotate he was holding? Oh no, we missed it. The observer missed it. Where's the dead body? I need to know. Where's the buck? Okay. What they've been able to achieve, SSG, this round compared to last round, is that it's almost at the halfway mark, and they've done a heck of a lot more this round than they did last round, and they won last round. So you're starting to see a trend here of SSG picking up the pace and responding more effectively. Okay, super important there. You saw that Bosco looked over multiple footsteps. You want to pick the darkest color because that provides more pings. Ever since they changed Jackal those few months ago, the lighter the color of the footsteps, the less ping you'll get. The darker the color, the more pings you'll get. And here comes the beautiful Buck ACOG. And he's going to start opening up. Why? Because I believe they've decided to do a yellow stairs take this round. You can't adapt to a team that's going to change their strategy next round. This is what makes SSG world champions. Because They are not going to do the same push 2 rounds in a row because they don't want to come across as predictable. They don't want to be adapted to. You can't adapt to a team that's going to change instantly. How do you do that? So, oh, my beautiful little analyst heart just flutters when I see this because this is a team that's prepared. This is a team that's prepared. They know multiple pushes per site, and they're not going to give you any chance to adapt against them. This is great. Well, the hatch as well. Okay, the hatch will be being opened to stop to cut the rotate. But that I would argue as a thermite, you should prioritize the wall first in case for whatever reason you get impact tricked, or your first exothermic gets impact tricked or accidentally bandit tricked because maybe you fucked up the grenade or something, right? I feel like you should prioritize the wall first. Yes, they're gonna have vertical control, so no one will be able to bandit trick. So you can be confident that you're not gonna lose it that way. Yeah, and that's just a real nitpick of mine, is to prioritize utility in chronological order. That's just something I really try and push for, just in case something goes wrong. They know Geo's in drug. They know this. They're running out of time to deal with him. He gets murked? See, we're missing a lot of kills here. This is hard for me to analyze what I'm missing. But I can only imagine a rotate cut. Now, this is what I call the power position for bottom floor on Themepark. Having drug now gives you what I call the power position, especially when you have these lines of sight opened up, because you can watch a heck of a lot of entries into the site from the western side take with very minimal opportunity to move this person, because you have to enter through the doors. You must enter through 2 doors. You could open up, but then you're open to a lot of other angles behind you. So this is something that a lot of teams do. I do want to go back on that, actually. Do you ever just wish you could tell a player to like obviously they don't know someone's behind the wall, but like you just kind of want to like you're sitting there watching live and you're like, shoot, Geo, just shoot. You have no idea. Free headshot through the wall. Like, I don't know. Sometimes like maybe I'm too eccentric when I watch sports and esports, but sometimes I just feel like, telling the players through the screen, just shoot, just shoot. Here is the only way that these players could really safely move someone from drug without taking a one-on-one engagement or a pinch engagement, is with that verticality. Now, I don't know, is Geo getting away with no rotate cut? Oh, this is wasting so much time. You're a good roamer if you can do this. Geo is a great roamer. Flat out, in the world, one of my favorite roamers ever. He's smart, he's passive aggressive, he has game sense beyond many others who play this game, and his ability to make the right decision when with the clock in mind is perfect. Geo gets Bosco. Huge kill, 15 seconds left. No! Feed the man. They're just feeding him. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 3-course meal. Here comes Geo. He gets traded, but that doesn't mean shit with 10 seconds left. Geo just chef kissed all over that team. That power position will win them the round. Oh, Canadians coming to open the wall. What are they going to do? Burst on the site while Pojamin holds down mouse 1? I mean, sir, no. Oh, they're faking it? Oh, they're not. Oh, they're going to pre-fire? Oh. Ooh. No, Pokemon should have hid behind the throne. Oh my god. Whew. That round's on Geo, ladies and gentlemen. Super shout out to SSG. Thoroughly agree with the way that they pushed that, cleared the roamers, started verticality. This is why I don't particularly like a yellow stairs take. I find it to be awfully risky. If you cannot take control of above, and then you've got to take control of drug, and then you've got to make sure that someone's still above to make sure there's no bandit tricking, and then you've got to be able to open the wall, and then once the wall's open, then you have to make sure that if anyone's peeking you, that you're able to block their line of sight. And it's just like, there's not enough time in the round for those kind of pushes. I don't like it. That's a personal opinion. Maybe there's new ways we can go about it, but just as I'm currently seeing the meta unfold, yellow stairs is not my favorite. All right, now, lab and storage. Quick disclaimer to lab and storage. It used to be called drug lab, and I will continue to call it drug. For the OG theme park people who unfortunately had to go through that iteration of theme park, it was called drug lab, and they've sort of PG'd it up, which I respect. It is now not a very popular site whatsoever. So if you're going to hold lab and storage, you better have the best vertical control ever. Because once you lose vertical control on this site, it's so difficult to stop them jumping in and planting. So difficult. It's also, I don't know the percentage of wins of attackers on this, but I would say it's a very attacking sided site once they have vertical control. Lol, Bolo. Looks like his QE spam. Instead the go-yo pick-off. They don't have an IQ, so the 6 pick was good. It also would make SSG think that they're going bunks because Go-Yo is a really strong operator for the bunks hold, so not that it's going to change much because they would have brought the buck either way. I am extraordinarily interested in seeing how TSM set this up because, okay, their operator bans. Oh, I thought it was site win ratios. All right, so all walls get reinforced. Okay, so no rotates in and out, so they won't extend it into the hallway. Maestro cam there. That's going to see all of the, when I say there, Maestro cam here, which will have line of sight all the way onto bathroom door. We'll also have a complete line of sight to arcade stairs. So beautiful bits of line of sight, purely there for intel, likely to get destroyed pretty quickly. Okay. Top floor hold with a lot of pieces of intel from a Valkyrie. No IQ, so pretty good opportunity for them to get a little bit of intel pretty quickly before they get destroyed. Good. Always open doors and windows. Perceived pressure. So that they think that you're there. Okay, good. This is what I would have expected. If you want to take that vertical control, I don't think trying to force your way through cafe door is the way to do it. Pushing from sort of cash over is probably the safer option. Not sure what Fultz is hoping to achieve by going in there. See, where Bosco's going in now, I would have assumed this was the way that the team would have... What? Oh, that door wasn't there on our screen. Okay. That's confusing. All right, so they know that there's a top floor hold. Is it just one person? There's gotta be multiple. Yeah, there's multiple. Okay. I love the barricading of every door too. Like people are like, oh, like, you know, they're just gonna shoot it or melee it, but it's a sound cue. It's a time waster, even if it's just a few seconds. They all add up. Someone in chat has just asked, you talk about perceived pressure as an attacker. As a defender, what are ways a player can create some perceived pressure to create depth in roam and to make roam easier? Some people fake roams. They'll make rotates. They'll make vertical holes. They'll make whatever. And I have consistently, throughout many seasons of Siege, seen that be very effective in people over-droning on the attacking side. Perceived roaming is a great tool of tricking the attackers into believing they need to roam clear when there's actually no roam clear to be had. So this is why pre-placed drones can alleviate some of that by having good positions of rotates to see whether or not someone's actually gone upstairs or have they returned from the stairs. And if so, well, that means no one's roaming at the moment. So this is why there's a lot of mind tricks that can be played on both attack and defense, but on attack it can be easier by simply opening barricades. Now, over half the round has elapsed, and they still haven't been able to get the vertical control yet. Now, both roamers decide to default down. Why? Because people are slowly closing in. It's a lot of SSG players, but they've wasted a good amount of time. Generally, there's this like 40-second to 1 minute rule, depending how much pressure's being applied on you as a roamer, to rotate back and say, well, I've actually wasted a lot of time. I actually don't need to roam anymore and put myself in harm's way unless you have a really good crossfire setup. Now I can go back to site and I can play this as a 5-man anchor stack. No way. Oh, I thought Merc saw him. I mean, when you got the outlines, you never you just never know. But oh, that's a good night. Now what SSG needs to do is to get that vertical pressure applied very quickly. And they know that Achieved is hiding in barrels, but Achieved can do... Oh, what are you doing, Geo? Achieved can do what Geo did in previous rounds and literally sit there and waste time. Move around barrels to waste utility or time or whatever it is, because it's the clock is ticking down very fast. Who was Geo? He was the smoke. So he was trying to smoke it off. Okay. Yeah, you can sometimes get cut off there. Oh, that was a Mozzie drone? No? What is Fulch trying to shoot? Oh, it's Bowler. I thought it was Fulch. Okay, this is bad. Why? Because they've reinforced every single drug wall. So if they want to stop the plant, you either need to be above drug or have a line of sight. And there's no line of sight for these two people outside of sight. There's literally only one person on site to counter this. Yep, and Pojamin goes down. These two players again, well, Bolo again, being far too passive. They know exactly where he is. I understand what they've done with this. Like I love this. I think this is great. I don't know who did it. I can only assume that either Geo or Pojamin did it. And I really like it. But it doesn't stop someone jumping in and planting. It doesn't. Yeah, I didn't like that round from TSM. I didn't like that setup on that side. Good to see it. Good to see their iteration of holding that, but it really didn't do much. I think probably the most innovative part of that whole setup was those holes in Armory to give them a line of sight onto yellow stairs and bathroom door. But that's all assuming no one jumps into the drug window and takes Pojamin out, and then suddenly the site's theirs. It's a lot of faith on one singular player. Of course, Geo was on the smoke as well. That was theirs to hold. But there was a lot of vertical pressure being applied to them, and the vertical pressure wasn't being challenged. They gave it up, so you have to have another a counter for that if you're going to give up vertical pressure without a challenge. Again, they go there again. I can only assume this time TSM is going to learn from their mistakes, and they have really one option, and that's to challenge the vertical, because Pojamin and Geo were struggling to sit on site safely. They really couldn't. They had no opportunities. So yeah, you got to challenge it. Sometimes aggressiveness is the only way you can go. All right. I think six picking to the vigil was the Mozzie was smart, because Pojamin and Geo would have said pretty clearly to their teammates that they were getting droned a lot. They were struggling to deal with all the drones that were zooming through drugs specifically. So how Achieved uses his spiders will be interesting. Canadian continually has to bring the thermite, because you never know, they might go bunks and then you need the thermite all of a sudden. Someone said it's surprising that they're going back there. I'm surprised too, because they lost pretty dominantly. Maybe they were aware of the mistakes and are confident that they can be rectified this round. And I would assume, again, we'll see a pretty similar take from SSG. I said at the start of this analysis, I find Themepark to be extraordinarily stale in the way that you can take. There generally is only one side you can really ever push. So, you know, east to west or west to east or whatever it might be. Ooh. This is what I meant about the droning. The droning being very difficult. This Jackal proving to be really helpful to find the roamers of Achieved being one. Being careful of bullet holes this time, of which I think there was some in that wall initially. Yeah, this is dangerous. And you guys know how I feel about roamers droning themselves, but whatever. You should never push by yourself with no refragability. So if Fultz decides to push Achieved by himself and loses the engagement, it's a loss for no reason. They're losing so much time, even with a Jackal, even with roam clearing operators of, you know, Fultz and Bosco, etc. They're still struggling to get rid of these guys. God, he's going to use his last scan again. Who's that on? Okay. Boom. This is important. This is why Fultz taking this room was important. It's good that he didn't push up and try and engage. Bolo does get the kill on a Bosco, and hopefully he gets refragged after we unpause. But cutting this rotate means they can't go down. The only place they could go down is yellow stairs, and the other roam clearers above are already too close for them to be able to do that. Oh, jumping over. Nice. Merc does get taken out by the rotate cut. And, of course, Achieve gets to waste a little bit more time, as does Bolo. Ooh, good night, Achieve. I take that back. And I believe Bolo would have had to default to barrels to even survive. Unless he's in the hallway, maybe? I'm not sure. Or did he manage to get back onto site? Yeah, he must have managed to get back onto site somehow. There is 20 seconds left and there's 3 people on site. You've got the smokes. You've got the intel of the cameras from the 2 dead players. There's a lot to use, but it's a tight space in drug lab and oh God, if you don't hit your shots, it's tough. Oh no, the Maestro cams are going down as well. Grenades coming out. Bolo gets that really important C4. Space Station has 5 seconds to get the kills. That's it. No, not enough. Ooh. Ooh. The only thing that kept Pojamin alive that round was the fact that above the God, if I could get this right. Yeah, above the western side. Yeah, there we go. Now I can point it out for you. There's no opportunity for verticality on these little parts here. So he got away quite safely by being forced into these parts. So he's lucky. You know, and there's a little bit up here that is not breachable as well. So he's lucky he stayed alive there and his other teammates were able to hold off as well. But yeah, that's not a place you want to be stuck, I'll tell you that much. Oh, rehost. Sound bug. Sound is balked. All right, rehost comes out. We skip this bit, even though we have beautiful men talking on our screen, and then we go back. All right, they get to go back to Armory. Not a lot of variety here for you, ladies and gentlemen, but nonetheless, we'll see if SSG have learned their lesson about time management, and we'll see whether or not TSM has anything else to offer or whether they've got the same strategy regardless. Ooh, I love that. I love that. Again, a 6-pick worthy of a bait. You're going to bait a go-go, they're going to think bunks. They're not going to think Armory. Although if I was SSG, I'd be thinking, I'd be setting up for Armory regardless. Oh, wait, that's something I didn't notice. They brought the Jaeger, they don't have a 1Y, but they have a mute. The reason the mute will be very important is it could buy the bandit time because they would have to grenade over the top. There's also not enough grenades on the attacking side to get more than one wall. So you could mute all the other walls except for the bandit trick wall. And Jaeger and ADS trick next to the bandit, and be pretty confident that no walls would even get opened. Someone in my chat just made a note. TSM only plays downstairs sites for some reason. I like the top 4 sites. Well, maybe TSM are afraid of heights. Just stick on the ground. Now, it's really important for this round we analyze what TSM do different, if at all. We need to see that they've learnt from their mistakes. Hojiman didn't go into barrels to open the hatch then. Maybe he will after he reinforces. I don't know. Maybe they'll stick to a more turtle. Because Bolo this time's on the Mozzie instead of the Vigil. And achieved being on the Bandit, etc. Okay, so those mutes are going upstairs to stop them from droning them. Whether SSG will roam clear again, I'm not sure. Ooh, love that. Guys, if there's ever a more toxic combo, it's a mute Mozzie. And that's just for someone like me who thinks intel is some of the most important things on attack ever, and that drones should be treated like gold. You go up against a mute and a Mozzie, and you're just like, Jesus Christ, and Thatcher's banned? Well, fuck me. You got to sacrifice drones for the Mozzies, and then when you sacrifice a drone, you jump it into a mute jammer, and at that point, you're gonna get fucking no intel. Look at Bosco. He's like, Jesus Christ. You can get some Gucci footsteps at least. There we go. That's going to give him a few pings. Not much. Okay, you're probably wondering why Canadians sort of like doing the step dance up on the roof. It's because he would not be allowed in the building until it's his job to open up the wall. So his entire job is to drone. He is never allowed to be in danger, because if they lose their only hard breach, they know they're fucked. They know they're fucked. Now, I believe someone dies just here. Oh, why do we miss all the deaths? How did he die, bro? I need to know. I don't know how he died. This is awful. I can't analyze it for you. All I can say is that SSG didn't get the refrag for whatever reason. Whether that's their fault or not. Oh my god, there's a spider on my desk. 1 second, ladies and gentlemen. Living in Australia, be like that. When spiders come attacking, I've lost it. I've lost the spider. Alright, well, maybe Mr. Spider will come visiting again and we can deal with him. We can deal with him now. Let's go back to the analysis. Look how much time these mute jammers and stuff are wasting. They actually can't do anything. If I was SSG right now and I just lost my only verticality and my only nades, like, I'd be pushing hard. I would be pushing, like, who have they got? I'd be pushing hard for top 4 control. Like, I'd be going like as fast as I freaking can with Bosco and Thinking Nade, because fuck Thinking Nade now. He's used 2 of his air jabs. He becomes a gunner. They need Fultz to stay alive because he can make vertical holes above armory, and Canadian's still alive. So they've got Bosco with the ITA shotgun as well. So possibly Bosco as a second fragger and Thinking Nade as a first fragger. Get in, get that waiting room control, start opening up that roof, because you've lost your grenades, you have no hope. No one's going to force themselves through a door. It's just it's a kill hole, murder hole, no chance. Ooh, there we go. That's that vertical control. I don't really understand why SSG roam clears kind of solo, because they start off like, it looks like they're together. You know what I mean? Like they all start off in kind of one sort of sided push. You know, they'll start on the east and they'll start to push over. And then as they enter the building, they kind of all spread off on their own little mission. And I sort of think to myself, God, they'd be so powerful and they'd be so time efficient if they just push together. And maybe they're so worried about like losing their utility that they're scared of dying or something. I'm not sure what it is. But yeah, it's weird to constantly see Fultz dying on his own, or Bosco dying on his own. Like, if they just did triangulation together, I feel like they'd be such a strong combo. They're so good at gunning. You put two of them together and they're scary. Okay, this is what I spoke about. They were losing so much time with all those mute jammers. They needed this waiting room control. They finally got it. Boom. They need to start opening above, hoping that no C4s come sailing up, because there are two of them available on the team. And they need to get this wall open. Good. Now he goes on to an indestructible floor because he doesn't want to get C4'd. Boom. 1 C4 wasted. Well done. Beautiful. All right. This is what they needed. They don't have a lot of soft breach availability to them. Bosco does have the ITA, but the spread is very minimal and it can be really difficult. So, especially when you're exposing yourself with no ability to shoot back. And now Canadian can finally go do his job after droning and being patient and yeah. Now, no one's playing in drug. Why? Because there's actually no necessity right now to do it. "30 seconds left and the wall is only now being opened." Fultz will come in extraordinarily clutch here. If he enters split, this is called split, if he enters split and goes towards, well, as he enters, he's hoping that he can kill the person on the left, because usually there's someone sitting in fire pit, you know, holding that angle there, usually like Pojamin or whoever. Actually doesn't matter who sits there. But he needs to kill them because they need to be able to enter safely. So he'll be very important. Oh, the observer. They just get off at like the wrong time. Bosco from Dragon Door. This is the perfect pitch. They've got 1 Dragon side, 1 Arcade side, 2 pushing for the plant. This is the perfect pinch onto site. Smokes will come out to block lines of sight from Bosco. This is why he's an important operator. Thinking they will get rid of Pojamin. That means that there's no one available to be able to use the Matrix. Not that you would be able to when you're getting collapsed upon. Achieved goes down. Geo on a smidge of health. No way to stop the plant. Yes, someone asked me before. Let me get it up in a second. Where is the default plant on Armory? There are a couple. Here, because of this line of wall, stops you from being seen. Okay, you can have someone over here with this wall open a bit if it was open, and they could possibly see him, but it's very minimal. So if you get right up against this sort of wall bit there and plant there, that would be one default. You can also run in this corner here and plant there, and you can also plant here, but this is the least viable spot to plant. Way too much, way too many lines of sight, I should say. So again, SSG coming off superior here, even though their time efficiency and their ability to roam clear, it has holes. And the round goes to SSG. I suppose after seeing TSM defend Armory quite a few times now, I would have to say that there is a distinct lack of clear wall denial, or challenging upon destroying the wall denial. I think you have to, as a team, decide what you most want to achieve in that round. Pun not intended. You must decide, okay, if we can hear them starting to take vertical control and stuff, and we've got our roamers and everything like that, do we then send someone up and out onto arcade or something like that, like Geo, who sits in drug to start off with, up in arcade to assist in the crossfire and the rotate cuts whilst you're being pushed? They were able to get that rampy that way, and we vehemently hold so that they cannot get above. Or do we put more emphasis on flanking when they do happen to get the top floor control? There has to be a response, and there has to be a very obvious one. So you cannot rely on wall denial for yellow stairs. That it's impossible. Once they have vertical control, you cannot trick it. You cannot do anything. You might be able to get a lucky electroclaw from across the room maybe, but that's not going to stop both exothermics. So you must be certain as a defender that you have the counters available, and TSM seem to not really, like, they kind of go 3/4 of the way. Like, they roam, but then they kind of do it to just waste time. But unfortunately, that only works on certain sites. It doesn't work on sites like Armory, where the sole purpose of your roam is to stop access to the site. It's also to time delay, absolutely. But if they get vertical control, it doesn't take them much at all. So you either need someone in drug to be able to challenge that yellow wall. You need to have something, is what I'm saying. And there was no one in drug to challenge. They had the wall for free. Once the wall was open and the smokes were popped, there was just no way to combat it, really. Contested. They didn't know where they wanted to go. They must really not like bunks. They must really dislike bunk. Like they dislike it that much that they will literally, for like 6 rounds straight, only play 2 sides. I don't know the reasoning behind that. I can't read into that. I don't understand why. I have a lot of questions. Oh, achieved change last second off the bandit. I assume he'll 6-pick it. There we go. Ah, now we're seeing a Kaid. Good. Now, there's one positive to a Kaid on yellow stairs double walls. It's that if you throw it high enough, well, I mean, you could shoot the top of it, but if you throw it in the best peculiar place that you can, not that there's a lot of places that you can really throw it where it's unseeable, but it makes the person from above stand still on the breachable for an extra second or 2 longer. You might be able to get a C4 kill out of that. That's really the only positive of having a Kaid over a bandit, let's say. Now, I would like to see Geo play drug. I wouldn't mind if Bolo was to roam, which I should hope he doesn't. He doesn't really have anyone to roam with him unless he goes with Geo. It's just Bolo and Geo. That then they try and rotate back through drug to provide assistance, or at least sit on arcade stairs to try and cut rotates as people try and push him. I don't know how they're going to play it, but what they've been doing thus far has not responded effectively enough to SSG. Someone in my chat made mention as to whether or not they lack defensive comfort with this particular map. Maybe. When a team repeats 2 sites over and over again, they either find all the other sites to be extraordinarily inferior, or they believe their usual performance on these sites to be far superior. Ooh. Jesus Lord. I'd also like to see SSG this round push together. And well then. You guys want me to analyze that? Kobe. That's your analysis. Don't know what else to say. Yeah. Yeet. Yeah. What I was trying to say was I was hoping that SSG would run a dual or trio roam clear with tight refragability. Now that they've lost one of their key players, we'll see whether that happens. Now more than ever it needs to happen, as they've already lost a player. Drones will come out from Canadian, of course. Does he think the wall... Oh, okay. I was like, does he think the wall's not muted or something? I don't think it was it? Oh, I just wish Geo would... Don't stand there and continue to band a trick when they're cooking a nade on you. Thank you. They learnt this time at least. Alright, this is going much better for SSG. I feel better about this so far. Granted... SSG is confusing. This is why TSM is probably struggling, is because they assumed, I guess, that SSG would go to a top floor clear, open yellow, but this time they've decided to go for maintenance. I mean, it's so confusing. SSG, you don't know what they're going to do, so your setup almost entirely depends on guessing correctly. And they've actually guessed incorrectly. Because they're actually, are they all inside, or are a couple of them outside of sight? See this one. Imagine if someone's through a C4 right now. Boom, 3K. Like, okay, this is where it gets important. The smokes pop, and TSM know that they're going for plant. They know. Rampy runs in. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Jesus Lord. There's the default behind throne. Ladies and gentlemen, whilst I love what they do, you should never rely on smoke. I feel like you should never, like, because the round where they didn't have the smokes for it, they had to completely change their push. Space Station deserve these rounds, but it's like TSM don't want to flank, don't want to be too aggressive, don't want to be the TSM we know, which makes me feel like they're a little uncomfortable on this map, maybe, because this isn't the TSM we would usually see. Yeah. I have a sneaky suspicion that TSM is not very comfortable, at least defensively, on Themepark. Maybe it's not one of their preferred maps, and it just happened to go that way with the map veto, getting rid of the other strong maps of SSG or weak maps that they did not want to play against SSG. And it's a little mind-boggling that they only had 2 sites that they even tried to pull out, even when there was multiple rounds of loss on them. But now we get to see SSG setup. So we've seen TSMs. There was a few things I liked throughout it. It was interesting to see their lab setup. Would my analysis be that it's effective? I wouldn't say it's the most effective lab setup. Okay, look at this. I need to make a very key point of these ADSs. 2 here, 1 there. What for? How can SSG be certain they're going to go for barrels? How can they be certain? I have a lot of questions. Either they've scrimmed together on this, or SSG has scrim knowledge of how TSM play on Themepark, and that TSM don't change their push ever, and that they don't push yellow, because you wouldn't put this here if you thought they pushed yellow. Or that maybe they try and throw things through dragon. I don't know. Or they're hoping they push maintenance, giving the wall up for free with Merc's 2 grenades, and then hoping that these ADSs stop any other grenades, of which they don't have anyway, or concussions or whatever, shooting over the top. I mean, that's a real stretch that I'm proposing, but yeah, I just don't know about that. That strikes a lot of questions in my mind about that setup being so specific. Oh, they didn't even reinforce maintenance walls? Okay, are they going to? Are they giving it up for free? Oh, I have questions. I have so many questions. Oh, they're reinforcing it. Oh my god. My heart, for a full second, I was like, no. You don't. Why would you give those walls for free? Not force any utility out of the... But no, this makes sense. They're doing a full top floor hold. We've seen this from Chaos. Very popular way of holding, with a rotate in through bunks, etc., to rotate in and out. There's a rotate there as well. Rotate into yellow stairs platform. Cool. I like it. With the addition of a castle, makes it even harder to get in. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Love the setup. The thing about a top floor hold is that you have to have a way to come back, and Throne doesn't allow that. Especially if you've reinforced the hatch. Someone's asking if they're set up for the Kai trick. It'd be the same if they brought a bandit as well. I'm wondering why they thought that the Kaid, or sorry, the attackers would push barrels, because that's where the 2 ADSs are set up. So you either are certain they're going to push barrels, and that's why you put all that utility there, or you have some other bit of information that I simply don't have. So they know that they are holding top floor. Smart to throw the drone past the mute jammer so that they couldn't do anything. Flashes will go over. They're realizing there's no ADS there. This was my question. Are the ADSs on the other side of throne because they are okay giving this wall up? Like, is that what it is? Because I have questions. Okay, they're impact tricking. Oh. Okay. All right. Well, SSG is just better. Yeah, you should have done that to start off with. Okay, very quick note, which I'm not going to pretend like everyone knows it. Not everyone knows this. If you buck or sledge in the wall and you place the exothermic in the gap, the impact trick will often, the spread of the explosion will often miss the exothermic. So that's why they've opened this. Oh, okay. No one was holding that? Does he still have an exothermic? I have questions. Again, no, we got it open, okay. Oh, the bullet holes, no. Oh, those flashes were too shallow. They're actually not reaching the ADSs. TSM are in a really good spot here. They've got every single player alive. They just don't have vertical control, which actually doesn't matter for thrones. What they need is throne control. They also have the opportunity to push in numbers if they wanted to. You can see them trying to challenge the Kaid who's holding the feet holes. Like, why did Pojamin... Questions. Because at least SSG knew that there's no way to walk in without a smoke. Oh, good shot, Canadian. Oh. Is he just going to play it? Oh, C4. Oh. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. Going for that. See, do you see why I'm confused? What were they even for? What did they even do? I'm a little bit confused about that. Did they think they would push barrels? Is that the knowledge that they had? He has to go for the defuse. Oh, he didn't tuck into the throne enough. That was won by the skin of their teeth. That was really that was really quite a round. I felt like there was a lot of wasted utility both sides, both teams. I felt like there was possibly a lack of appropriate response. They go lab as well? Does NA just think that top floor sucks? Are they all afraid of heights? I don't know what's up. Is this just the meta now? Definitely got questions for the NA scene, or at least these two teams, as to what it is specifically that they find they like about lab. This seems to be we're going to call it the NA meta, is to have armory control slash throne slash barrels slash whatever, I guess. And whoa, what does this hold? This is all for drug? What if you just jumped in the window? Well, I'm not saying you should just jump in the window, but what if you just jumped in the window? Who needs to drone when you just call? I guess. Well, they are droning. Okay. Well, look how fast TSM are moving on their roam clear. Fast, 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 very fast. Oh, God. Merkel's about to destroy them. They've already got top floor control. They're at half the round. They have full vertical control. And there's a mute jammer on that wall. What I'm failing to understand is why go for this? Like, why go for this wall if you could just hold from yellow stairs and arcade stairs, which you now own because you just took top floor control in just under half the round, and just hold the rotates and then get vertical control from above in cafe as best you can, drone lab, and then have someone jump in bathroom window and drug window, you know, once there's some bathroom control. Like, I have questions about how much reliance they're putting. Yeah, he's trying to impact trick it and he knows he can't with that. Alright, that's open. It's like they made so much progress very quickly, and now they're falling into the utility trap. Like, look at that. Let's go back to this for a real quick second. I wasn't even aware of this. This door is castled. So if you wanted, you could forget about that side, hold the rotates from stairs, and try and challenge from windows with nades and flashes and stuff like that if you really wanted to, whilst you're getting vertical control, because these people have to move around when there's vertical holes being opened up above them. You can't sit in bathrooms safely with vertical holes above you. It's literally impossible. They have a buck. There's a lot they could have done here to displace those anchors and give them complete access. Okay, there is a rotate straight back on the site though. So there is a rotate. That's diffuser too. Yeah, someone in my chat just pointed out they actually have no Jaeger or Mai, so they couldn't have counted any nades. Oh, shouldn't have peeked. That's all right. Oh, I feel like the way TSM went about it probably didn't need to be the way they did it. Super impressed by their super quick roam clear. They looked super confident. They had Geo, you know, popping those calls as part of the hot droning, and Bolo was right behind a drone. So they did that the way I would expect. Just, I have questions. I don't mind the setup that SSG had for that. It is extraordinarily interesting to see Lab being a secondary site for both these teams, and it being one where they both set up with an armory intention. Do I think it does anything for the verticality? Absolutely not. Am I trying to work out why none of the teams are getting verticality? Other than that one time I saw Rampy open up above? Yes, I'm wondering why. Why didn't they go get verticality? Why didn't they get the people on site from above? There's some gaps that you can't see vertically, but there's a heck of a lot of it you can see vertically. Now we finally see a top floor. Now we finally see it, ladies and gentlemen. This is exciting. This is what we wanted. Finally going upstairs, conquering their fear of heights, and SSG will go initiation. We've seen this being held by multiple other teams, and that shield that Bosco is placing, I have a little draw. This shield here seems to be a super common theme, followed by ADSs or MIs or whatever, magnets, etc., around it to stop its destruction. It seems to be a key theme, and I would say now part of the meta. Why? Because I argue this room, which is called waiting room, is the safest room to play in all of this top floor when you do a defensive setup. I've said it time and time again. I will continue to say it. If you have control of this room, you have control of top floor. As a defender, that is. So this room can be extraordinarily key. I'd be interested to see if they open up yellow platform or not. Or if they just leave it soft, or I don't know if they reinforce that or not. It's hard to see at this angle. And Fultz is going to place his Kaid there. Cool. Now, as a lot of you will know already, you actually need to place a mute here or a Kaid here, because you can get these two walls, or sorry, I should say this wall open. You can get this wall open by placing an exothermic right on the edge here and catch it, and it will explode this edge and this edge. Kind of like a half wall on both sides. So you must place a mute jammer here or a Kaid here, because it must get both walls, because then it stops them from placing it on that wall, which is what you need to do. So yes, if you're wondering, how do I counter this in a ranked game, or whatever it is you might be playing Go for, etc., if this wall is unreinforced, sweet! Just get your thermite to place an exothermic on the deep right-hand side of the wall. Boom, you'll get that wall open easy peasy. But if you do it this way, SSG is doing by placing a mute jammer or a Kaid there, then they just simply can't do it, which is the perfect counter to their counter. It looks like there's a little bit of a intel below, slight roam across the map. Yeah, they've got obviously the famous Canadian Pulse doing his thing, and as we have seen with every other team, a sort of cash overtake is pretty much the only way you can effectively take this site. Not always, you can push on the other side, like we said, where that wall is over in kitchen, etc. But it often is not as successful if you don't take this side as well. Oh. Okay. And I do want to say, whilst I'm usually very impressed by the observing this game, I've missed most of the kills. So it's been a little unfortunate to be able to give you guys the analysis that's that I would have liked to. Yes, as someone in my chat said, an alternative to doing the kitchen sidewall we spoke about before with the thermite, you could just shotgun it out so they simply can't do it. Absolutely. Either one works. I'm not sure what Achieve's doing below, but nonetheless, Mute Jammers will come in clutch. The grenade will fly out, and not a single person will get damaged. I hope it got the Mute Jammer at least. I think hopefully that was the purpose. No? Maybe? Yeah, there we go. They try to get the Kaid Claw. Yarn. Boom. Gets opened. Easy peasy. They just Kaid tricked it again. The sad part about that was I don't know what the first grenade was meant to do from Merc. So a double nade would have completely negated the ability to Kaid trick there. But I think they must have thought he wouldn't do it, or it was on the other wall or something. But there's actually Mute Jammers on the other. I don't know, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, now TSM big scared. Because you don't have that main wall open and you don't have the other side open. Oh, pff. Okay, that's another way to do it. Oh, it got stuck on the door frame. Dude, they would have all died then. Okay, well, TSM have it open now because Bolo was like, yeet. Flash and pop. Somehow kept his life. They tried to flame him out. Oh, beautiful patience. Beautiful use of utility there. Spicy. Oh no! Oh no! The man's was just laying on the ground. What on God's given earth? God Bolo uses flashes really well to gain access into sight. Oh, good night. Oh, good night. What a round from Fultz. Jeez. I do often wonder why certain players move in when a plant is to go down. Like, for example, if there's someone planting behind something, like your teammates planting behind, why do you need to be there too? Do you know what I mean? If you could see the only entrance to deny the planter, then why do you need to be there? Hold the longest angle you can because you've got an ACOG and you've got, you know, the opportunity to cut the rotate of anyone rotating over trying to deny the plant. I often worry that people get a little overzealous and they try and enter in a bomb site that they just simply didn't need to be in. Someone pointed out, did they even use their Capitao smokes? Did they even use that? I didn't see any. And if that was still in pocket when he died, well, that's a critical mistake. That could have possibly won them the round. Full slaying on the ground, they couldn't have done shit if there were smokes. I feel like watching SSG and TSM on Themepark is like not like I feel like I'm not watching the best version of either team by far. I've watched a lot of their maps and the way that they play, and the confidence from both of these teams on other maps is extraordinarily obvious compared to Themepark. And I know we got to give teams time to like understand the meta and counter adaptations available to them, and you know, all of those things, but there's a lot of just key mistakes being made from both teams, like smokes in a Capital pocket. That's horrible. You know, you've got someone behind the initiation pillar. Why are you not smoking the crossfires? I mean, I understand when there's a lot going on, it can get real tricky to maneuver and coordinate things, but yeah, no, as someone in my chat pointed out, someone in my chat also just said the only other time an NA Pro League theme park was played was a draw between EG and Reciprocity. Both of them played upstairs sites. So we cannot make the generalization that NA doesn't like top floor as much. So therefore, there's actually no bottom floor meta in NA. It's just these two teams. But we are seeing SSG go back to Armory and do their usual top floor hold. Again, we get to see whether or not SSG has the capacity to use this top four hold against TSM, or whether TSM are going to ignore it and go straight for site. And then I want to see how SSG utilizes their current setup to counter a direct push on the site, because their actual setup cannot counter it in any way. Nice. Love that. Love that. Bucked a hole in the wall. Can't be bet. It can't be impact tricked. Boom. Beautiful. That's why you reinforce backwards. That's why you reinforce backwards. People were asking me before, why Pokemen reinforce backwards into barrels? That's why you reinforce backwards. Just reinforce backwards. Just do it. Why? Because you can't bucket. Why is that important? Because you are committed to impact tricking. Ta-da! Reinforce backwards. Sometimes I just reinforce backwards just to reinforce backwards. Not even for any purpose. That's how much I think you should reinforce backwards. Now off they go above. A little bit of a unneeded roam clear, I think. He knows he's dropping into barrels quickly. Quickly! Oh, too late. Here we go. Now that's what those ADSs are for, I'm sure. I don't know where I don't understand how that kill occurred, but okay. The smokes are being used, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, achieved learnings. Hello? Oh, they're planting though. Achieved goes again. The fire is perfect. Everything is perfect. Now all they need to do is just wait. Achieved can stay exactly where he is. And look at this. This is so good. Look at this. TSM are holding all the long angles. This is so perfect. This is honestly perfect. This is what we spoke about last round. This is really good. Everyone holding their own angle. Even Bolo outside in case he has to jump in. Oh. It shouldn't even be a 2v2. Like, it shouldn't. Yep. Easy win. Oh, it was too good. They learned from SSG and they replicated. Ta-da! Ugh. That was a beautiful round, ladies and gentlemen. You know how many SSG players were on site? And one flame pushed them all back. Sorry, 2 smokes, 1 flame. 1 operator did all that. Ah, I'm so relieved. It only took 12 rounds. Sorry, 10 rounds. Sorry. Only took 10 rounds. That was really good. I just wonder if there's maybe possibly some teething. Like every team's going through teething problems with this map, absolutely. Requires a lot of coordination with utility, etc. So, yeah. See, Go-Yo on the bunk daycare. Great. Well, the magnets, they won't be expecting that. Hopefully, they will drone them. But yeah, you can tell by having a Go-Yo, they're very likely to be bunks. Now, someone did just rightfully mention, which I totally forgot to mention at the beginning of this analysis, this match determined who was first and who was second. So it was pretty much like a grand final, as people are sort of noting it to be. And we will throw a little joke in there. The beautiful Jimbo in my chat said, time to sacrifice 2 guys to reinforce consulate garage backwards. And as the Twitter sphere would have it, dangerous but useful. All right, so pretty default setup. I didn't see anything there too unusual. This is now kind of like the default setup. You sort of set up towards the east. That mute jammer is giving him hell, isn't it? Yeah. Are they not going to push east to west? That's rather unusual. I've not seen a team do this. I've not seen a team do this. I've not seen a team completely give up on pushing the setup. Wow, okay, this is extraordinarily interesting. I am now Merc can literally hold bottom arcade himself. Okay, Merc did get Canadian on the stairs, didn't he? Through the barb and everything. And he still has both drones and both grenades. Wow. Wow. Okay. Generally the setup for bunks is to extend yourself with shields, ADSs, magnets, whatever have you. Go-Go shields are preferred towards the east. Because generally people will enter through cache, clear from that way over, try and get the wall open and plant into B. But we're seeing something completely different here. This is something I would do in ranked, you know? There's a cam above. There's a cam above Merc, and Canadian still died. Oh, I'm just watching with bated breath, ladies and gentlemen. They're in so close to the site. Like, they're in. They're pretty much in. And every other defender is stuck. over towards the east. He wants to plant in that doorway because there's a blockage. So let me just go back and show you. Pojamin wants to plant where the ping is, because right where that ping is, there's like this covering, this wall that would cover him. No one would be able to shoot him except for the door over there. They could C4 or smoke or whatever, but there's no smoke, so they'd be relying on, you know, a C4 to get the job done. What's Achieve doing on the other side of the map? Don't they need him for... Oh, he's going for it. He's going for the plant. Oh, the C4 got stuck. Thinking nade through the round. Thinking nade. Kidding. There's a lot of people lit on the other team. Oh, does that C4 collect? Yeah. Wow. All on Rampy Lonesome. Is there a... Oh! Whoop. Oh, whoop. God. Even though TSM had the perfect opportunity to plant, they were all in post-plant angles, they lost. They literally lost to people just being mechanically better than them. Mind you, that beautiful C4 over in a cafe was a real important one. That was just pure mechanics at that point. TSM should have won that. They countered everything by not even dealing with it. I love those counter strats. I love them. They're my favorite ones because the team collectively says, you know what? I don't want to deal with that entire side of the map with all that utility. I'm going to go to the other side and I'm going to deal with it on that side. And people always talking about this 20-second meta about, you know, teams having to deal with all this utility and all that, and you need this many flashes, you need this, you need to do that. Well, not if you do what TSM did and you find the hole and you manipulate. That's what they did. They should have won that round. They just lost their gunfights in the end. I hope TSM realizes that that was the right push. You know what I mean? Like, I hope after that round they didn't go, oh, well, we should have cleared from cash. No, they were right. They didn't hold it down the way it needed to be held down. SSG were mechanically better. All right. We will see Lab again. This time I'd like to see how TSM wants to counter this, whether they believe in their hearts and in their souls. Can I not accidentally open my hardware monitor, please? God. Whether they believe in their hearts and souls that pushing Armory is the right way to go or not. I want to see Merc get vertical control, use the skeleton key for its purpose, and at least try and get one pick. Like, you could have someone stand at bathroom window and like, usually it's like the smoke that sits there, but there's no smoke on the steep, so whoever sits there from SSG then has to move. And then hopefully the window players can get a pick of them rotating out. See how close Bolo is to his drone? Oh, ladies and gentlemen, I just love hot joining. I love it. I love it. I don't like that he doesn't have someone with him, but I love it. Ooh. Good night, Buck. Hot drone will surely spot this person over on kitchen. Instead, they do. They're trying to get vertical control, but there's a lot of vertical pressure. And you're probably wondering what allows SSG, thinking they did get down, but what allows SSG to hold top floor and armory almost simultaneously? It's their ability to drop barrels hatch, rotate in, and have barrels and throne / armory control should they want to rotate back that way. They've given themselves multiple paths of retreat if that's what they wanted. And they're wasting a lot of time doing it. The call's been made to rotate down instead because it's clear. The drones have dictated it to be clear. Yep. And achieves holding armory for them so that they can't rotate back. There's actually no rotate from barrels into throne, actually. So there's no ability for them. The only place they have to hold is barrels now. They've got a lot of angles to watch. They just want to ash this wall, do they? Oh! What just happened? Canadian, just no. GG. Wow. I feel after watching this, there's a lot of teething issues for this map. There's a lot of utility required. Actually, sorry, there's not a lot of utility required. There's coordination of it required. And you must be able to coordinate utility appropriately. Otherwise, you'll see rounds that we saw where walls weren't being able to get opened. Things were getting Kaid tricked. Just real simple stuff like that, which shouldn't be happening to Pro League level teams. And as these teething issues start to get, squared away over multiple, play days and scrims and everything like that, it will start to be more clear what the meta will be on this map. I do still agree that there is a lot of stagnation or repetition and monotonous type, or there's a real limit on how much you can do it as an attacker for multiple sites of this map, and that's why I feel like it comes across as stale very quickly, this map, especially for the attackers. So I think there's a lot of emphasis put on the types of bans. So if you don't ban a Maverick, then there's multiple sites that can be manipulated very easily. There's way to counter those manipulations as well. So if you're wondering what my analysis of Themepark is, you can go check my other analysis of the first ever competitive match of Themepark in EU. Between these two teams, I saw a much different methodology. There was a lot of extension on bottom floors, and in EU there was a lot of extension on top floors. So a lot of different ways that teams and coaches are thinking about this map at the moment. And I think over time, and given more play days and more ability to see how other teams are running setups and what works and what doesn't, because there was a lot of setups that just simply didn't work that we saw today for multiple reasons, and a lot of attacks that didn't work. I would say it wasn't the cleanest game from either team. I wouldn't say SSG you know, outplayed TSM, and I wouldn't say TSM did anything, you know, gnarly against SSG. That analysis was just truly round by round by round, back and forth there for that entirety. So, yeah, I think TSM struggle against a team like SSG. SSG do look calculated, probably a tiny bit more calculated than TSM, and there's an obvious emphasis for SSG to get the plant down. That is their priority. That is why you see Canadian on the roof for so long on attack, is because his priority is to absolutely stay alive, get the wall open and plant. And I think that's why we saw quite a passive SSG compared to what we usually see. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so very much for being here. If you're watching this on YouTube later, you can find where I do this live, which is twitch.tv/JessGoat. Find in the description below. Make sure you leave some comments. Let me know your thoughts about Themepark and what you think about SSG and TSM as a whole, and what you think the future of this map will be, both meta-wise or whatever. If you guys are watching me live now on Twitch, I will be back in about another 30 or so minutes, and we're going to just pick up some ranked. Jump into some ranked, get some cool vibes happening with some music. Otherwise, thank you guys so very much for being here. I'll catch you again very shortly.